risk of heart disease. That's according to a new Johns Hopkins University study that measured data from over 200,000 people who were counting their steps and settled on 4,000 per day as a good target. And that's the latest. I'm Mark Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BIAnews.com.
In Pasadena, crews working on an overturned big rig on the 210 west of Fair Oaks Avenue. The 3 right lanes are blocked and traffic jammed up approaching from Rosemead Boulevard. In Burbank, a work zone underway, 134 eastbound between Pass Avenue and Bob Hope Drive. A right lane closure until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Flowing through the work zone and the Hollywood Way on-ramp closed as well.
Warning, if you are 60 or older, RSV can be a dangerous respiratory virus.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. This message is brought to you by Pfizer.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers are 20 games over 500 after hanging on to beat Arizona last night. Mookie Betts was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. The surging Dodgers have a 5-game lead over the Giants in the NL West. Reports have surfaced that the Atlantic Coast Conference is having discussions with Cal and Stanford. No official word yet that Cal and Stanford are heading to the ACC in 2024. The conversations are further proof that the Pac-12 is close to shutting down. In 2024, USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington are moving to the Big Ten Conference. The Big 12 is adding Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado. As a reminder, if you have a family member being recruited by Pac-12 schools, do your homework to make sure your athlete has all the information to make a decision. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is dedicated to empowering our communities by providing progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people, collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
I remember when this record dropped, I could not believe, who is this Whitney Houston? I recall the album cover, every track on the album, and from this album forward, I fell in love like all the rest of you did with Whitney Houston. We've been playing some of the best of Whitney all 3 hours of today's program because today would have been Whitney Houston's 60th birthday. Believe it or not, Whitney would have turned 60 today, and so we've been celebrating some of the best of Whitney Houston's music all 3 hours of today's program. In this hour, 2 conversations on the back side of this hour, the B-side. Visionary creative director Kenny Gravillis joins us live in studio. He's the man behind all the posters that you see. A conversation with Kenny about how he became the go-to for major Hollywood studios and top filmmakers seeking thought-provoking advertising campaigns and film posters. Kenny live in studio on the backside of this hour. We commence this hour as promised in conversation with the mayor of Montgomery, Alabama. Our friend and brother Stephen Reed joins us live right now to discuss that Riverboat Brawl and the video that went viral all over social media. Yesterday, assault charges were filed against 3 white males involved in the melee. I am honored to have the mayor of Montgomery, Alabama, back on this program to talk about this recent drama in Montgomery. Mayor Reed, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Tavis. How about yourself?
Man, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I'm delighted to have you back on this program. Delighted that we got 30 minutes to try to make some sense of what happened. Let me just start with this. I'll start big and we'll narrow our way through and get an update on these assault charges yesterday, assault allegations. So let me just start with this, though. As the mayor of the city, when you saw this, what did you think?
Oh, I was, surprised, disturbed by it, very much, maybe even shocked by, what I saw. I had just been down there. It was a back-to-school event that was taking place on our riverfront. Our public schools go back to school, start back tomorrow. And we had a great event, so we had just left from down there, seeing a lot of families and, kids and whatnot out there with concerts and all that sort of thing. So it was a totally different, picture when I left, and then maybe about an hour and a half later, we heard it come across our radio that, something that happened on the riverfront, not understanding certainly to that degree, even after getting some of the descriptions from people, didn't quite really, really become clear until, probably the next day when I saw the video. And to be honest, as mayor, my first thought was, okay, we had a melee, we had a fight, it was, that sort of thing. Okay, is everybody okay? Yes. All right. Are there any, weapons used, anything like that? Any shots fired, anything like that? No. Okay. All right. Well, you guys kind of, keep me apprised of the situation, and then, we'll go from there.
Yeah.
And I think when I got the update, it still didn't really click until, again, I saw the first video that someone sent me, I think, on my staff, and that was the surprise and disappointment, to seeing what took place and just how it all played out.
Yeah. When you say surprise and disappointment, surprise, I get. Unpack the definition of that word disappointment as you just used it.
Well, I think disappointment that a man is doing his job and trying to protect not only those who are on the riverboat, but also those that are using the docks from getting hurt. That's why he is there. They have been trying to move that pontoon boat for over 40 minutes, I think around 45 minutes. And, that's a long time. Tavis, you travel a lot, so do I. Sometimes you stuck on that tarmac,
oh, yeah.
For 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That feels like a long time. But certainly when you get to 30 minutes, people start to get cranky on the airplane. And so you can imagine being on a riverboat in Montgomery, Alabama heat, which is no joke around that time, for that amount of time that, they were trying to get their attention. So to see someone respond to a person who's probably the second or third level of now trying to get your attention to move your boat, to do something you're not supposed to do, be attacked like that for just carrying out his job function was just something that was disappointing, that we have come to some of that. And I said this earlier, I've been on airplanes where I've seen people respond to the flight attendants in a certain way that I don't think, 10 years ago or so I saw.
Yep.
But now it just seems to be something that there's not quite that level of respect for people doing their jobs, much less people in authority, or how, people respond to them if they don't get their way, if they don't like what's said.
Yep. That's what the mayor thought when he saw the videotape. We're talking to Mayor Stephen Reed, Mayor of Montgomery, Alabama. You heard again his take on what he saw when he witnessed that videotape. When we come forward, I'm going to tell you what I saw. I'm going to give you a hint of what I thought, rather, when I saw it. Here's my hint. Rosa Parks. We'll talk more about it when we come forward. Mayor Stephen Reed on Tavis Smiley.
Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. This is the Tavis Smiley Show.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Heat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Parents, we know we can't protect our kids from everything. Eventually, they're going to bump their heads or scrape their knees. But we can protect them from 6 types of cancer. HPV, or human papillomavirus, is a common preventable virus that can cause cancer later in life. The HPV vaccine prevents human papillomavirus and all the cancers it can cause. The American Cancer Society recommends getting your sons and daughters the HPV vaccine starting at age 9 to protect them later in life.
Are you looking to steer your career in a new direction? Driving for the Culver City Bus can be your ticket to a long-lasting career with excellent benefits and paid training. Culver City Bus is looking for customer service and safety-minded bus operators to join the growing team. Culver City Bus offers on-the-job paid training, uniform allowance, and health benefits. Culver City Bus are now even putting their money in your pocket with a one-time $2,500 sign-on bonus. Let us connect you with an essential service job. If you enjoy driving, seek real opportunities for career advancement, and passionate about making a difference in your community, then we invite you to join the team. Start your journey by submitting an application at culvercity.org/job. For more information, visit culvercitybus.com or call the live customer service operator at 310-253-6500. Again, 350-253-6500.
Wendy's is open till midnight or later, so you can give in to the craving and go night mode. Now all of your favorite menu items just got their bedtime extended. You can get what you want even later, like the Baconator with 6 strips of bacon, or the perfect fries and frosty duo. If you're up later, then so are we. So go ahead and pull through the drive-thru. When the craving hits, go night mode at Wendy's. Open till midnight or later. All right, see ya later. At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried new Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in 1 wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Hey, I am D.L. Hughley, host of the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show, heard weekdays from 2 to 4, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. I promise to make you think a little, but laugh a whole lot more. So tune in to the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show, 2 to 4, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
We're celebrating what would have been Whitney's 60th birthday today, playing some of the best of Whitney Houston all 3 hours of our program today. We are delighted in this moment to be joined in conversation by the mayor of Montgomery, Alabama, Mayor Stephen Reed. We all saw the viral video seen now around the world. And all of the memes and all the jokes. We were talking yesterday about the brother that jumped in the water and all the nicknames, Swimmy Hendricks, Michael B. Phelps, Scuba, Gooding Jr., all the jokes and all the memes notwithstanding. the mayor said when he saw that videotape, he was surprised and disappointed. When I saw it, well, let me tell you, I'm getting all kind of messages, Mayor. Let me just read one. Tavis, as soon as the brother tossed up his cap, what I saw and felt as the inevitable pile-on occurred was every lynching of every black person evoking cellular memory. So we laugh and joke about the memes, but it wasn't a joking matter what actually happened on that, Doc. The mayor, again, surprised, disappointed. Mayor Reed, I thought almost immediately of my late friend Rosa Parks. I had the honor of knowing Mrs. Parks, as I told you before. The honor, as you know, I spoke at her funeral. I was one of her eulogists in Montgomery at her home church. And so I know this city well. I love your city, so much history in that city. And I thought about the way the world would see Montgomery anew, given the history, the civil rights history that we know exists and was birthed in that city. So let me just ask you a broad question. How do you think people today are seeing the city of Montgomery, the state of Alabama? Are we being reminded of how racist this part of the country is? You tell me how you think the rest of us are seeing your neck of the woods.
I think given some of the feedback I've gotten, people are seeing it through the prism of history and the prism of the pain that time when Mrs. Parks and her husband Raymond were threatened and essentially run out of Montgomery to Detroit. Seeing it through that prospect, as opposed to what I might say has been some of the progress that's been made. Certainly since that time. And, it's important to understand the individuals who were, who we filed warrants on, one has turned himself in, and we're going to have to, I guess, go get the other ones. They haven't turned themselves in at this point. They're not from Montgomery. They're not from the city. And so we don't want the city to be viewed through the prism of an isolated incident. If this has been happening and that sort of thing, that'd be a little bit different. I don't think we view Charlottesville, Virginia through the prism of what took place there, nor any other city. When we've had, these incidents that have come about. I would say I think there's a cloud hanging over the country itself. As I mentioned before, not only as it relates to authority and people who are just carrying out their jobs in the sense of, well, who are you to tell me this or that? But I also think there is a tension racially that is in the air of the nation that does bother me as the mayor of Montgomery, being a son of the city, and certainly appreciating the first, whether it was a Tom Bradley who led L.A. or a Maynard Jackson in Atlanta, and of course Marion Barry in D.C. and Richard Arrington in Birmingham, all of those who led the way for us as black mayors to be CEOs of our city. We kind of see and can tell with our state legislatures what's happening here. We saw the Alabama legislature not follow the order of the Supreme Court to create a second black congressional district. As it relates to the change in charge around voting rights. So I do see a bigger trouble cloud, if you will, but I don't think it's just isolated to Montgomery. And when I think about the incident, I understand why those outside of here do and why it has apparently touched so many people in that way, to see the pushback, if you will, to see the young man get in the water and to see some people come to the aid and defense of somebody. But, Tavis, I'll tell you, I heard from several business owners downtown probably Sunday evening who are not black, who said, if I had known this happened, I would have gone to help him. They got what was coming to them. And these weren't just black folks. So I think it's also important that people are viewing it from right and wrong as well.
Let me just say this right quick. I've known you, of course, you've been on this program before. I have nothing but deep love and respect and admiration for you. And it is a big deal when you consider that Montgomery, as we all know, is the place of the Montgomery bus boycott. This is a seminal moment in civil rights history. Rosa Parks and Dr. King and Fred Gray and all those who were involved in that again, civil rights seminal moment. This is the same place. This is Montgomery. And to imagine all these years later, the place where these Negroes had to force the city and the buses to do right by them, that city now has a black mayor named Stephen Reed. That's a big deal. And I don't want to make light of that. I want to underscore it. That's a big deal. And, that's why I can get him on the phone, because I know him, right? Because he's a brother. He's a brother mayor, and he takes my phone calls, and that's why he's on this program. So that's a big deal. Dr. King and Rosa Parks wouldn't have to do all they had to do back in the day if Stephen Reed had been the mayor of Montgomery, Alabama. So I take your point. Let me ask you right quick. Got about 10 minutes left. Want to make the most of the time we have, and I thank you for it. Mayor, I know how busy you are and all the people that are calling you, trying to get interviews with you, so thank you for this one. Were you surprised, maybe not in the age that we live of social media, but were you surprised, and put another way, have you had a chance to see all of the viral response to this video? I mean, it's massive. I mean, it's trending everywhere.
Yeah. So let me say this, and this is last night after the press conference, literally from about Sunday early afternoon. It was all hands on deck. Once we kind of got a clue that it was a little bit more than just a big fight, right?
Right.
I hate to say this, we've seen them at professional sports games, we've seen them at college games, so it just didn't register initially until the next day. Then I see the video, and it's like, oh wow, what happened here? And I'm viewing it like other people are as well. I saw what you saw.
Yeah.
Is this racially motivated? Is this a hate crime? Let's figure it out. So really, we went into just a tight bubble to say, all right, let's get to the bottom of this and let's kind of figure this out step by step. So I had not seen all of the things that were being shared probably until a day or two after. Really, I would say last night was when I got probably the most that I've seen after we did the press conference, because we were so focused on, one, identifying the suspects and then bringing them to justice.
Right.
So that was first and foremost at the top of my mind. But, when I started to see that last night, it was like, wow, okay. I mean, I've seen a few things maybe Sunday night, early Monday morning, but I didn't understand the magnitude to your
right.
point that it had taken. But I understand why, and I get it.
Yeah.
I really get it, because it's emotional, and it does kind of hit us in a space, in particular right now, that I think is unique versus other actions that we've seen social media and in other spaces as well.
No, I thought about you as well, and again, because I reached out to you and invited you on. Again, thanks for accepting my invitation. I thought about you because I know that part of what drives your economy is tourism. There's so many people that come to Montgomery because of the civil rights history that took place there. And I hope this doesn't impact your tourism dollars. I hope that black folk don't get scared to go to Montgomery thinking that somebody white's going to jump on them and slap them. To that point, your police chief has announced assault charges against 3 persons: Richard Roberts, 48, Alan Todd, 23, Zachary Shipman, 25. You mentioned one of them. Y'all have to go find. He ain't turning himself in. Y'all have to go drag him into the jailhouse. So we'll see how that works out in the coming days. But one of the other things that people have said, and I don't want to make light of this, but just as black folk came together in the Montgomery bus boycott, you saw black folk come to the defense of this brother who was being wrong and clearly who had been targeted by these white guys. I'm not trying to put you in an uncomfortable situation, but there is a parallel there. That again, black folks stuck together on the bus boycott. I know you don't condone violence, but it was an amazing. I ain't gonna lie. Let me just keep it real, man. You know me. Let me keep it real. Yeah. It was an amazing thing for me to see all these Negroes come out of nowhere to that hat goes up in the air, and brothers and sisters started running and swimming, and they said we can't swim. That little Negro was moving in the water, and I must say I was impressed. I don't know who that 16-year-old kid was, but when he swam with his clothes on and then got to the dock and pulled himself up, I said, well, he's in good shape, because he got up on that dock and started handling his business. I heard him say somewhere, or somebody said on his behalf, that he was just doing what his parents had taught him to do, to stand for his people and come to defense of those who are defenseless. But there's something there, and it's an interesting parallel. Again, black folk came together in the bus boycott, and they came together on that dock. Again, I know you don't condone violence, but it's a viral moment. I don't know what you have to say about that, but that's my commentary about it.
No, listen, I totally understand the response now, having seen the video, kind of having worked through the evidence and kind of being able to exhale a little bit, which we didn't do much between, late Saturday night, Sunday morning, and yesterday afternoon when we did the press conference. I think that for us, it's important to recognize for those folks, there was also a 16-year-old white male who came to his defense who was punched as well.
Yes.
And just 16 years old.
Yep.
And so, again, it's this thing of humanity. It's this thing of defending someone who is innocent. It's this thing of doing right by somebody who is being wrong. And I think that's another positive takeaway for us to see, because I think had he been white, those same crew members would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have allowed their colleague, their coworker, teammate, crew member to have been attacked like that. I think what they saw was, hey, we were trying to tell you, we used the PA system, we used the bullhorn, we did everything we could, then we sent the little boat over to tell you to move it. It's people on the boat. We got to protect them. We got to secure them. And you guys aren't moving. And then we send somebody over and you attack them for doing their job.
Yep.
Well, this is our response. Do we condone it? No. But as Chris Rock said, I understand.
That's why I love Mayor Reed. I love him. He keeps it real, too. I got 2 minutes left here. One of the things that is, I don't know if disturbing is the right word, but I'm noodling this because I understand how politics works and how law enforcement works. At the moment, while there have been assault charges brought against these 3 guys, one of whom y'all got to go find and bring him in, the police chief in your city, Chief Albert, is that his name, Chief Albert?
Yeah, Daryl Albert.
Yeah. Chief Daryl Albert has, at the moment, has said they don't have any way of knowing whether or not this was racially motivated. It's been perceived as a racial brawl, but they haven't as yet. Your police chief has said at the moment that we don't have any reason to believe that it was necessarily racially motivated. Now, I understand that because if these guys are just acting out, they're just acting out, and I don't know what was in their head or heart. We haven't heard from them as yet. But you do understand that dog won't hunt, that black folk ain't buying, that it was not racially motivated.
Understood, and certainly get that. From our standpoint, we have to, again, look at the facts, and we have to hear what witnesses have been telling us, and we'll continue to ask for those witnesses to share video, audio, and things of that nature so we can determine if it indeed was racially motivated. And I'll say this, I do think that for us, it's important to be prudent because ultimately we want justice to be had here for the man who was attacked and anyone else that was involved in that. And what the FBI has said is that it doesn't meet their level of calling it a hate crime yet. But I underscore the word yet. And what I will say is, while it may not be a hate crime by the FBI's definition, I certainly see it as a moral crime. I mean, I think we can all acknowledge that this was a little bit further than just something askew here. So we'll allow the investigation to play itself out, and I don't mind coming back to talk with you and your audience about where we land on this in the coming days and weeks, because I do think it's important, and we certainly want people to understand where we are in Montgomery and where we are in Alabama, irrespective of some of our elected officials at the state and national level. We've made some great progress here, and we're continuing to do that. And we see folks from L.A. and California here each week coming to learn more and more about the civil rights movement, and we want them to keep coming, and we want to be able to not only share that experience, but also what our future holds moving forward.
Yeah, no, I concur in that regard, and it's just not fair to the city of Montgomery that people would portray it through a particular lens or see it through a particular lens just because of this incident, which happened to this brother through no fault of his own. Mayor Reed, you're a good brother. I thank you for, again, accepting the phone call and coming on this program and for offering to come back on. I appreciate you, man. All the best to you, sir.
Hey, listen, anytime you guys and black media have been supporting and assisting all of us as African-American mayors across this country. I'm the first vice president of that association. We're grateful to you. Anytime you need me or one of my colleagues, you let us know because we depend on y'all to get out the story when others won't. So we can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough, Tavis, for what you and your team do, not just in L.A. and California, but worldwide, what it means to us. So anytime you just let me know. And look, I got to get you back here to Montgomery real soon so we can sit down and have some discussions about other things that are happening all around us as we speak.
Consider it done. I'll make it happen. Mayor, we appreciate you, man. All the best to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
What does access mean?
Access means owning a home. Access means growing my business.
Access means building generational wealth. No matter your goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Programs and initiatives provide the tools and resources to help you reach them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, life doesn't stop when cancer starts. After diagnosis, treatment is vital. But for some, just getting there to appointments, chemo, or radiation is a major challenge. You can change that. Volunteer to give rides with the American Cancer Society Road to Recovery program. Driving for a few hours of your day can make a life-saving difference for someone with cancer. Visit cancer.org/drive to learn more.
Thanks for sharing a part of your Wednesday with us here on the Black Information Network. I'm Mike Moore. Here is the latest. More allegations are surfacing against pop star African-American Lizzo. 3 of her former dancers filed suit against the singer earlier this month, accusing her of sexual harassment, weight shaming, and creating a hostile work environment. Tuesday, lawyers for the dancers said that they were reviewing complaints from at least 6 other people who toured with Lizzo, including allegations of sexually charged environment and failure to pay employees. Less than 10,000 steps each day may be needed to lower the risk of heart disease. That's according to a new Johns Hopkins University study that measured data from over 200,000 people who were counting their steps and settled on 4,000 per day as a good target. And that's the latest. I'm Mark Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
In Pasadena, crews working on an overturned big rig on the 210 west of Fair Oaks Avenue. The 3 right lanes are blocked and traffic jammed up approaching from Rosemead Boulevard. In Burbank, a work zone underway, 134 eastbound between Pass Avenue and Bob Hope Drive. A right lane closure until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Flowing through the
RSV can be a dangerous respiratory virus.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. This message is brought to you by Pfizer.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers are 20 games over 500 after hanging on to beat Arizona last night. Mookie Betts was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. The surging Dodgers have a 5-game lead over the Giants in the NL West. Reports have surfaced that the Atlantic Coast Conference is having discussions with Cal and Stanford. No official word yet that Cal and Stanford are heading to the ACC in 2024. The conversations are further proof that the Pac-12 is close to shutting down. In 2024, USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington are moving to the Big Ten Conference. The Big 12 is adding Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado. As a reminder, if you have a family member being recruited by Pac-12 schools, do your homework to make sure your athlete has all the information to make a decision. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Dominique DePrimo for KBLA Talk 1580. Are you worried about your credit score? Well, look, you can rebuild it. There are lots of factors that go into determining your credit score, but one of the most effective ways to improve your score is to consistently pay your bills on time, over time. If you're forgetful about payments, like me, try automating your bill payments. That way all your creditors get paid on time, and you'll have freed yourself of trying to remember. Whatever your financial goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Initiatives can help support you in reaching them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you and the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. Everybody searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone who fulfilled my needs. A lonely place to be, and so I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. Because of waiting, it's happening to me.
I hate stepping on Whitney because she sounds so good, and yet I've got to get to my guest. We're playing some of the best, have played some of the best of Whitney Houston all 3 hours today because today would have been her 60th birthday, and it's hard to turn it up, Mouse. Turn it up. I'll listen to the rest of it when I get off the air. But she just sounds so good. Whitney Houston would have been 60 today, and so again, we've been celebrating Whitney Houston all 3 hours of today's program. Got to leave some time though for this conversation with another visionary. Whitney was a musical visionary. He's an artistic visionary. Creative director Kenny Gravillis has been dubbed the man behind the posters. He joins us in studio now for a conversation about how he became the go-to for major Hollywood studios and top filmmakers seeking thought-provoking advertising campaigns and film posters. So here's a black man whose work you have seen, whose work has convinced you to go see movies. He's the guy that does all these visuals, so many of these great visuals that pulls you in. And I want you to meet him. His name is Kenny Gravillis, and I'm honored to welcome Kenny to this studio. How are you, sir?
Oh my goodness, I'm so good. First of all, Tavis, just want to say thanks so much for having me here.
My pleasure.
This is my first time officially on the radio, and it is an honor to be here. Seriously.
This is your first time on a live radio show.
First time on a live radio show in life, like in my 54, almost 54 years on the planet. And I'm like, I can't help it. I'm actually just looking around, and it's just like so cool.
Well, I didn't know that, but I am just titillated and pleased to know this is your very first live radio appearance, and it happens on the Tavis Smiley Show. So how lucky are we to have you in studio?
It's my honor, Justin.
No, thank you for coming in. I want to make the most of our time. I have this is interesting because we're nationally syndicated now. So for those who are watching live, if you've never checked this out on YouTube or on our app, now's the time to turn it on, because we're going to run through some photos here, some of his best and most iconic work. And so if you're listening live right now, turn on the YouTube, turn on the app, and watch as we move through some of these photos. If you're not listening live in parts around the country, go to any of my social media platforms, my Twitter, my Facebook, my Instagram, and you'll see these photos posted, so you can catch up that way if you're not checking us out live right about now. So everybody can see the best of Kenny Gravillis' work. So I want to make the most of our time to get to these photos here. But let me just start, though, by getting a quick backstory on Kenny Gravillis and how this became your journey.
My journey. Okay, I'll try to be succinct with it. I'm originally from London.
I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell.
I've been living there a long time though, so I don't know. I guess my accent is still there.
Yeah. Just a little bit. Yeah.
Right. So I went to school in London. I'm from immigrant parents. There was in the 60s, in the 50s, there was a migration of a lot of West Indians that went to London. So both of my parents from the West Indies.
What part? I'm just curious.
St. Lucia.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, in the Caribbean.
Sure.
And I went to school there. I was brought up there, and I went to art school there. And ironically, for whatever reason, in high school in England in the 80s, you almost was like, for some reason, you could be guaranteed a job in a bank when you graduated. And I don't know, for some reason that just did not interest me. And, obviously we need banks, but it just didn't interest me.
We don't need banks, we need money. That's another conversation though, but go ahead.
But I ended up going to a cousin of mine's workplace, and he was a graphic designer. And I ended up looking, and what got me more than anything was the environment. Because back then there's no computers, so it was all drawing boards. And I was like 14 at the time, and I kept looking around, and it changed me. It's like, I want to be in this type of environment. So I ended up going to art school instead of going to work at a bank. And then my dad actually lived in New York at the time, and I went to visit him, and I ended up bringing my portfolio to New York. And then I guess maybe the accent did help. I got a lot of interviews, and I brought my portfolio, and I was showing it around, and I ended up getting a job in New York City, and I ended up staying, basically, and that's how my career started. That was interesting. New York, as New York does, taught me some valuable lessons. And so the first 2 years, I would say this is like 1987 to 1989, I think I got fired like 4 times.
Welcome to America.
I know, welcome to America.
Coming to America.
Yeah, welcome to New York City. And the final firing actually was, not that firing's humorous, but in a sense it was humorous. I had gotten the job from a headhunter. And I was there, and I kind of felt like I wasn't doing that great. And I overheard the boss person literally say, well, we don't want him anymore. And then I was like, and then I remember going back home, and I called my friend up, and I said, hey man, I heard the boss say we don't want him anymore. Do you think he was talking about me? And my friend was like, he was absolutely talking about you. It was good to have friends that are real.
Keeping it real.
So anyway, I remember my dad telling me after firing number 4, he's like, do you really want to do this, And I said, I do. He's like, I think you got to find something that you're into, because I was working on like Mott's apple juice and Panty Shield packaging. It was just like nothing that I was interested in. So finally, I ended up thinking about that, and basically the 2 things I loved was music and movies, and that's how it started, And I ended up, very in a fortunate way. I was 21 years old, and I ended up getting a job at Def Jam Records, which changed my life basically, and basically started my career. And that was a life-changing thing, because it was like 1989 to 95.
And you were doing what there?
Album
covers.
Actually. Yeah. So like for Public Enemy.
Give me a couple real quick. Public Enemy.
Yeah. LL Cool J.
LL. Okay.
The big one, the one that my son is proud of, is I did the Notorious Big Ready to Die cover.
Wow. Miles, you hear that? Did you hear that, JD? He did the cover. Yeah, baby. Yeah. We all know the record.
Yeah.
You did the cover.
I did the cover.
All right, so now you got a little bit of the backstory of Kenny Gravillis.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of the backstory. Starts at Def Jam, but his career takes off. But now, he's the guy that the Hollywood studios call to do their marketing campaigns. And when we come forward, again, if you're listening live right now, watching us live, you're going to see some of the stuff he's done. We're going to run through some of his iconic work, talk about that. You're listening to Kenny Gravillis right now on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit NoTimeToWait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Parents, we know we can't protect our kids from everything. Eventually, they're going to bump their heads or scrape their knees. But we can protect them from 6 types of cancer. HPV, or human papillomavirus, is a common preventable virus that can cause cancer later in life. The HPV vaccine prevents human papillomavirus and all the cancers it can cause. The American Cancer Society recommends getting your sons and daughters the HPV vaccine starting at age 9 to protect them later in life.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives that belongs to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event. Or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it. Together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Maisha Cairo here for KBLA Talk 1580. We're live in Los Angeles at JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. And I'm speaking to some of the attendees today to see why it was so important for them to be here.
Yeah, this is Lathan and Tyler. Main reason that's very important for me to be here is just to leave a legacy for my kids. Black wealth, generational wealth is what we need in our community, you know. Chase, someone has to take the lead. They're showing, big business like Chase cares, and they're putting their money where their mouth is at. So it's good to see, big institution like Chase, giving a lifting hand, to the community, and you got to respect that. It makes me want to bake with Chase, and give them another look if I go to another institution. I actually see what Chase is doing for the community.
That's right. Chase is doing their part to help advance Black wealth. For more money support, tune in every day from 12 to 2 to KBLA Talk 1580's Midday Money Chain, right here.
Made fresh daily in the Mert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Kenny Gravillis, who is the go-to for these Hollywood studios when it comes to doing their marketing campaigns, their posters, and the like to promote their films. So, again, if you're watching live on our YouTube channel or on our app, you're going to see these things right now. If you're not listening to us live in parts around the country, go to any of my socials, Tavis Smiley, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and you can see these posters posted on my socials. Let's run through them right quick. The first one I want to let you talk about is Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Talk about it.
Okay, so real quickly, I mean, this is a big deal for us. We're the first sort of black-owned agency to even work on a Star Wars campaign, so right there we were kind of honored. it was, ironically too, it was the very last Star Wars movie. And Disney came to us and, we had been trying to get on actually the last 2 Star Wars. And it's a very competitive business.
I can imagine, yeah.
There's like a few agencies. And to be honest, it wasn't like you kind of get one shot on these things. And thankfully, in our first presentation, that poster J.J. Abrams saw and really loved. And that was a poster that they ended up going for that was used for their real 3D screening and also used for specialty CDs. So it was a kind of a great moment for the studio.
JJ's a nice guy, a friend of mine.
Yeah.
I love JJ.
Yeah,
I'm glad JJ made the right choice.
Yeah, he did. Thank you, JJ.
I'm going to text him and tell him.
Yeah, tell him for sure.
The next one is... there he is. Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Yeah, Michael, the great thing about Mike is that he's really a friend of the studio. He actually had called up MGM specifically to ask us to work on the project. So, getting that level of support from that type of level of, actor and director is super important to an agency like ours. So he totally supported us in working on the project. And, this, again, we did a photo shoot, and it was great. It was like, obviously, he was so involved in being the director on the project. So it wasn't like after you took shots of him and took shots of Jonathan that he would go back to his trailer. He was there, directing and being a part of it. So it was an awesome thing. And this post that he posted was the most likes he's ever gotten on any post. It was like 4 million likes. So people really responded well to that.
It's amazing. It's an amazing piece of art, and I'm glad he chose you. And you keep saying the studio, your company is
right, Gravillis.
Yeah,
exactly.
Your last name. Yeah. Spike Lee, The Five Bloods.
Spike. Yeah. What the beautiful thing about Spike is that he is one of our biggest supporters. We've been working with Spike since 2015, actually since Chirac. And so basically every film that he's done since then, he has made a specific point of bringing us in. And, I feel like, kind of like how Mike did it on Creed, it's such an important part of it when you have filmmakers that are supporting you. And I think with Spike, this particular project was amazing just because we got a chance to connect with old artist from the Black Panther era called Emory Douglas. And we were able to connect with him and get that history. And it was a great project. And he actually inspired the poster for this project.
That blood coming down from that right eye.
So the economy of that came from Emory's original idea, which was this black Vietnam soldier crying because while he was fighting this war at home, there was so much stuff that was going on that was so, disruptive and destructive to his people. But yet he was fighting this war for this country. So that dichotomy is what that really represents, is like the soldier, but the tears are still there.
It's a beautiful piece of work. And I've always said that Spike is as good a marketer as he is a director.
Oh, absolutely.
He's good. He knows what he wants.
Yeah,
right?
he knows what he wants.
More with Kenny Gravillis when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
MC Light for AARP. Hip-hop, the cultural phenomenon that took New York by storm in 1973, is celebrating 50 years of rocking mics and crowds. Whether you're a ride-or-die hip-hop head or simply curious about its origins, check out the latest issue of AARP the magazine. It celebrates this incredible milestone with a featured story brimming with fun hip-hop facts and history. Head over to aarp.org/blackcommunity to learn more.
Community is more than where you live. It's the people in it who go above and beyond to help it thrive. During the 50th anniversary of hip-hop and the 75th anniversary of Black Radio, AARP recognizes the members, volunteers, people, and partners giving back to our communities. We believe when our efforts drive change for the greater good, we all thrive together. To learn more about how AARP supports efforts to keep our communities thriving, visit aarp.org/blackcommunity.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Kenny Gravillis is our guest in this hour. He is the man behind the posters that you see for some of the films that you go to see. Got 5 minutes. I got to move through this right swift here. This is one of my favorite documentaries literally of the last 10 years. I told Raul Peck that when he did the documentary. I love the book. I Am Not Your Negro. You did the artwork.
Yeah, I mean, this was, first of all, this is a very unique project. When Magnolia, who the distribution company, came to us, they said something I'd never heard before. And they were like, Kenny, we have this title. It's called I'm Not Your Negro. And, we want to do it justice. And that was, for me, the first time I'd really heard a studio, be aware and self-aware and say, hey, we might not totally understand this, but we want to do it justice. Mm-hmm. And I think for us, first of all, we're honored, but secondly, the big thing that we wanted to get across is that Baldwin is bold, and we wanted to show, and we wanted to not be afraid of that title. And that's really why we made the title so huge, and we actually concentrate on Baldwin's eyes. Yeah. So those two things we thought was going to be impactful, and they ended up showing it to Raul, and he loved it, and it became the poster. So we were super happy. And that poster actually stays in our lobby, and it doesn't move. We have 3 big light boxes, and 2 of them switched to whatever recently we've done.
This one never moves.
That one never moves. Just so you know when you come in where you are.
I'm coming to Gravillis just to see that. So when you walk in the door, you know we ain't your Negro. We will take your money, we will do business with you, but we ain't your Negro. I ain't mad at you. The 1619 project.
Again, a beautiful project that we got a chance to work on. And, these are the kind of choice projects that, just culturally mean so much. So when we get a chance to do something like that, it's a beautiful. And this kid was amazing, by the way. Just his look was, I think even Oprah mentioned it. It was so impactful in terms of his visuals.
No, it's a great piece, And one last one. I love Queen and Slim. What a great movie.
Yeah, it was a great movie, and Melina Matsoukas, who's the director of it, she worked with us pretty tirelessly for about 3 weeks. She came into our studio, and directly we worked with her to get to this piece. And, I give her a lot of praise because, she really crafted a beautiful piece and fought for a very strong poster.
I promised to have you back. We had to get the mayor of Montgomery in today.
As you should have.
Yeah, everybody's talking about that. In the 90 seconds I have left, though, tell me about this access program that you all are doing. Yeah.
So, very quickly, as you know, there's not a lot of black and brown people that do what we do. And we're at a position now where we need to make pathways. So, thankfully, we connected with Otis Art School, and we're basically using them as the hub to create this particular program called Access. It's called Access because that's what we're doing. And we're basically going to be teaching these kids about what we do, making posters, editing trailers, all those things. And basically it's going to be 18 black and brown kids. And thankfully, to the gods, Netflix are funding it.
Oh, good.
So it's starting in September. It's called Access, and the first 18 kids have already been picked, and it's something that we hope to continue to grow so we can get more kids of color into this industry, understanding that there's room for them here.
You're doing great work, Kenny Gravillis. As I mentioned earlier during the commercial break, I want to have you come back because I want to have just a bigger conversation. broader, bolder conversation about black images and black imagery and the way it's being used or not used and exploited. Just a conversation about black imagery. Would you come back and do that?
Absolutely, would love to, Tavis.
We'll make that happen. Have an hour for that conversation. We're gonna need an hour. Maybe we may need 3 hours for that conversation. But Kenny, good to have you come in, and thank you for your brilliant work.
Thank you so much.
It's an honor to meet you.
Honor to be.
And I will always remember that you did your first radio interview on Tavis.
Oh my God.
Thank you, sir.
Privilege.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
More of our show tomorrow, Lord willing. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest.